Okay, so this is a continuation of our discussion last meeting. So if you also remember, what we had discussed already is the definition of terms. We were able also to discuss ano yung definition ng criminology, ano yung significance, what makes criminology or what makes the studying of criminology is important, and also the criminological classification. So let's proceed now with the principal divisions of criminology. Ano yung iba't ibang divisions ng pag-aaral sa criminology? So number one, we have criminology or criminal sociology and etiology or slash etiology. So what do you mean by etiology? The origin. It means an attempt to provide scientific analysis of the causes of crime. Origin, meaning ano yung pinagmulan. Okay, so basically, pag nag-aral daw tayo ng criminology, we will be discussing or pag-uusapan natin what makes a person becomes criminal or ano yung naging dahilan. Ano yung pinagmulan, bakit siya naging criminal. Okay, so is it biological, hereditary, because of the environment? So titingnan natin dito, ano yung mga factors daw that makes or big factors that contributes of becoming why a person or why a human being becomes a criminal. Number two, sociology of law, criminal law, and jurisprudence. So basically, pag-uusapan natin dito, ano yung mga batas? It is a division of criminology which attempt to offer scientific analysis of the conditions under which penal or criminal laws develop as a process of formal social control. Simply deals with the study of law and its application. Pag-aaralan natin dito yung mga batas. So, hindi man literal na lahat ng batas pag-uusapan natin, but we will be discussing the basics, the foundation. Ano yung tinatawag nating criminal law or ano yung tinatawag nating revised penal code. So, Revised Penal Code or Criminal Law, this is composed of 2 books. Pag-aaralan nyo to on your second year and third year. 2 semesters ang bubuunin ninyo or this will be composed of 2 semesters para pag-aralan ninyo yung Revised Penal Code or yung tinatawag nating Criminal Law Book 1 and Book 2. So, hindi siya kasya sa isang semester na pag-aaralan mo because this is composed of a lot of articles, the circumstances, ano yung mga penalties, and others. So, pag-uusapan dito, as a part of the studying criminology is the criminal law and jurisprudence. Okay? Next will be, for number 3, penology or correction. So, it deals with punishment and treatment of criminals, control and prevention of crime, and the treatment of youthful offender. So, penology and or slash correction, pag-uusapan natin dito, ano yung jail? Ano yung penal institution? Ano yung tinatawag nating penalty? Ano yung treatment of criminals? So, when we talk about imprisonment or punishment, ito yung mga madalas nating nakikita na BJMP facilities or Bureau of Correction facilities. Now, with respect to punishment, madalas naman natin ito na-encounter like life imprisonment, 20 years of imprisonment. Now, in terms of treatment of criminals, bakit may treatment, ma'am? Kasi po, lahat ng mga offenders o yung tinatawag nating PDL inside the penal institutions, they also have this what we call treatment. Okay, ano yung mga rehabilitation programs na ginagawa sa kanila while nasa loob sila ng kulungan? So, ano yung tinatawag nating mga recreational sports, merong education, merong religious activities, merong tinatawag na livelihood program. So, yun yung mga ginagawa sa kanila as part of treating them, rehabilitating them. Number 4 is criminalistics, o yung tinatawag nating forensic science. So, pagdating niya yung second year, meron na kayong forensic photography, meron na kayong personal identification, question document na subject, lie detection, forensic ballistics. So, you will be having your subject on your higher years na more on forensic examination, more on criminalistics. So, this is one of the area of concern in crime detection and investigation. Criminalistic is included as a division in criminology because criminologists are also engaged in studying criminal things, the analysis of physical evidences taken from the crime scene left behind by a criminal perpetrator. So the purpose of studying criminalistics or forensic science is you will be having the idea of what are the possible evidences that will be left by the perpetrator or the criminal, or what are the possible evidences that can be found in the crime scene. So, for example, may nakita kayong buhok, may nakita kayong bloodstains. Ano yung gagawin nyo dun sa mga evidences na yon? How will you preserve those evidences? Importance of studying criminology. Studying crime is very important. In fact, interest in crime has always been high. However, understanding why it occurs and what to do about it has always been a problem. The offer of simple solutions of obliterating crime is not enough because of its complexities. But understanding crime as a complex phenomenon can be. Okay, so ibig sabihin, dito sa slide na to, we will be having this thought na gaano ba ka-importante talaga ang pag-aralan yung crime? And bakit tumataas yung percentage of studying crimes? So, anong meron? And what makes the people becomes interested? Di ba parang kayo, nung elementary kayo, sabihin natin na hindi kayo interesado sa pag-aaral ng criminology. But this time, what makes you motivated or what makes you, what has the chance na bigla kayo nag-enroll ng criminology? Anong meron? Ano yung nag-push sa inyo? What makes you motivated on studying criminology? So, importance of studying criminology. Number one is source of philosophy of life. The knowledge derived from studying crime is a good foundation for an individual's philosophy and lifestyle. Number two, a background for a profession or for social service. So, number one, yung part lang siya ng interest mo. For the number two, gusto mo siyang maging profession. Kaya nga gusto mo or nangarap ka na maging registered criminologist. Number three, because criminals are legitimate objects of interest. And that is true. They should be understood in order to know how to control them. Paano natin sila matutulungan? Paano natin mape-prevent yung crime? So that is one also of the significance. Why are we studying criminology? Number four, because crime is a costly problem, the value of property loss, medical expenses, and insurance, moving costs, intangible cost of pain, and suffering is too high as a result of victimization. So take note, if there is a victim of crime, there is what we call damages. There is what we call losses. There is what we call expenses. Okay? So maraming factor, domino effect kapag meron tayong tinawag na victim of crime. There is damages, there is losses, there are financial issues, there are pain, etc. The purpose of studying criminology, the primary aim is to prevent the crime problem. To prevent. Kasi hindi naman natin mazizero talaga. Okay? There's no such thing as like that. Wala namang perfectong crime prevention. So, what we are trying to do, or lalo na yung mga law enforcement natin, or kayo, hopefully, after 6 years, after 7 years, you can be a member of the law enforcement agencies. There's no such thing as zero crime rate. Pero, what we are trying to do is, alam mo yun, ma-eliminate kahit papano or ma-minimize kahit papano. Number two is to understand crimes and criminals, which are basic to knowing actions to be done to prevent them. Number three, to prepare for a career in law enforcement and scientific crime detection. To career. So, ibig sabihin, it's either after you graduate ng criminology, after passing the board exam, you can be part of the law enforcement agency. So, ano yung mga law enforcement agencies na yon? You can be a part of the NBI, PDEA, PNP, MMDA, LTO, LTFRB, and others. So, kahit na anong klase ng law enforcement agency, or you can be a member of the BGMP, the Bureau of Fire, and others. To develop an understanding of the constitutional guarantees and due process of law in the administration of justice. Take note, there is what we call due process. Okay? Hindi lahat ng nakikita natin pangit, ikukulong natin. Hindi lahat na nakikita nating mga violators, ikukulong natin. There is what we call due process. Number 5, to foster a higher concept of citizenry and leadership together with an understanding of one moral and legal responsibilities to his fellow men, his community, and the nation. Okay, so again, responsibilities, hindi porket nakasuot ka na ng uniform, you are above the community. Always remember that we are, or you are studying criminology and you are a future public servant. Okay, you are serving the community, you are serving the people, you are not high and above the people. So, nature of criminology. So, generally, criminology cannot be considered as a science alone. Hindi siya pure science. It has not yet acquired universal validity and acceptance. It is not stable and it varies from one time and place to another. So, ibig sabihin, hindi siya fixed, hindi siya pure science, at hindi rin siya consistent. It changes. Nagbabago siya from time to time. It changes from one place to another. However, considering that the science is a systematic and objective study of social phenomena and other bodies of knowledge, criminology is a science in itself and under the following nature. Kailan lang siya nagiging science? Kasi sabi nga natin kanina, hindi siya pure science. Number 1, criminology ay nagiging science lang depending on the following. So, ito yung sinasabi natin. Number 1, kailan siya nagiging science? Criminology becomes a science if, number 1, applied science, meaning the anthropology, psychology, sociology, and other natural sciences may be applied in the study of the causes of crime, while chemistry, medicine, physics, mathematics, etc. may be utilized in crime detection. This is called instrumentation. So dito, sa factor na to, ang criminology, sabi natin kanina, is not a science, pero nagiging applied science siya for the following matter: anthropology, psychology, sociology, chemistry, medicine, physics, mathematics, etc. Nagiging applied science lang ang criminology dahil nga ginagamit natin siya sa crime detection. Ma'am, ano yung crime detection? For example, may nakita ng buhok, may nakitang pubic hair, may nakitang human hair. How are we going to identify if that is really a human hair? Or hindi yan buhok ng aso, hindi yan buhok ng hayop? That is because of the application of science. Ginagamitan siya ng experimentation. Ginagamitan siya ng examination to really identify what particular evidence is this. Another example, yung blood stain. How are we going to identify if that is a human blood stain or animal stain? That is because of the instrumentation. Ginagamit natin siya or ginagawa siya ng examination sa laboratory to identify if that is really a stain or baka naman ketchup lang yan. Okay? So, yun yung time or yun yung panahon kung bakit siya nagiging science. So, criminology is not a pure science, but there are instances na nagkakaroon ng touch ng science because of this following aspect. Okay? Number 2, criminology is a social science in as much as a crime is a societal creation and that it exists in a society. Its study must be considered a part of social science. Ma'am, bakit naging social science ang criminology? Because we are dealing with society, we are dealing with people, we are dealing with community. Iba't ibang klase ng tao, iba't ibang klase ng pag-uugali, iba't ibang klase ng behavior, iba't ibang klase ng pananaw, and therefore criminology is a social science. We are experimenting, we are trying to observe different behaviors, different perspectives, different people, different members of the community, and that makes criminology as a social science, the society itself. Number 3, criminology is dynamic. Criminology changes as a social condition change, nagbabago. Diba yun yung sabi natin kanina? Nagbabago siya from time to time. Nagbabago siya from one place to the other. Hindi siya consistent, hindi siya permanente, it changes. Okay? So, dynamic, nagbabago, what else? Evolution. Para example, dati ang form of dakawan is hold up, snatching. Pero ngayon, may nakawan na tayo like fraud, meron ng sa ATM, online. So it changes. It varies. Nagbabago. Pero halos para-parehas lang siyang nakawan. Para-parehas lang na pagnanakaw. Pero iba-iba yung way of doing such a thing. Kasi nga nagbabago. People change. The behavior of the people change. So number 4, nationalistic. The study of crime must always be in relation with the existing criminal law within the territory. So take note, iba ang batas natin sa Pilipinas, iba rin yung batas sa ibang bansa. Hindi po tayo magkakaparehas. So baka isipin natin na, okay, a best example is yung marijuana or di kaya yung mga illegal substance. Sa ibang bansa, it is normalized, okay? Nagiging normal na siya. Pero dito sa atin sa Pilipinas, hindi siya normal. Hindi siya legal. So, nationalistic, from one place to the other, it depends on the territory. Maaaring legal sa Pilipinas, pero hindi legal sa ibang bansa. Maaaring legal sa ibang bansa, pero hindi legal sa Pilipinas. So, you have to be reminded of the nature of criminology. So, again, this is composed of 4. We have applied science, social science, dynamic, and nationalistic. So, you have to be careful what is the difference between the 4. Social science, the community. Applied science, because we are using forensics, criminalistics in crime detection. Dynamic, nagbabago. Nationalistics, it varies from one place to the other. So take note of the 4 nature of criminology, and also don't forget the divisions of criminology. Okay, huwag niyo pong kakalimutan yan. Okay, so the object of interest in criminology. So ano yung 4 na factor na yon? Ano yung parang dito iikot lahat? Number 1, the crime. Ibig sabihin, the action. Diba ito yung sinabi natin sa definition? Crime is an act committed or omitted. Ginawa mo at hindi mo ginawa. That is a crime. Criminal, pinag-uusapan natin yung tao. Criminal behavior, ano yung ginawa niya? Take note, yung mga estudyante ng psychology, hindi po sila nagbabasa ng isip. Ha? They only interprets based on the behavior. Okay? Pinag-aaralan nila yung behavior ng tao, hindi po yung utak. Okay? They are psychology. They are not psychiatrists. Number 4 is the victimology. Pag-uusapan din natin yung victims of crime. Okay? Hindi lang tayo puro criminal aspect. Hindi lang yung kung sino yung gumawa ng crime. We also discuss what is the participation of those victims in the commission of the crime. Ano yung ginawa nila? Ano yung mga bagay na nakita natin na pwede nating ma-prevent? Okay? So, yun yung part ng pag-aaral natin. So, again, the 4 objects or main objects of our study is the crime, yung ginawa, the criminal, yung gumawa, the criminal behavior, yung paano yung proseso, what makes him become criminal, ano yung naging cause. Victimology is yun naman yung victim of the crime itself. So those are the 4 object of interest. Okay, so historical background. This is somehow discussed also sa theories of crime causation. So ito, papasadahan lang natin to. So the historical background of criminology, the history of criminology dates back from the works of criminological thinkers. So this started from 18th century. So the reform of criminal justice and penal system. So itong criminal justice na to, dito sa Pilipinas, this is composed of 5 pillars. The law enforcement, the prosecution, the court, the correction, and the community. And also what we call the penal system. Ito yung sinasabi natin kaninang the criminal law or the revised penal code. So the old system applied the law unequally, were subject to great corruption, and often used torture and the death penalty is indiscriminately. So dati talaga the word torture and death penalty is really existing. Okay? Yun yung panahon or during the 18th century. So early ages, if you are familiar with the Code of Hammurabi, na yung konsepto of kung ano yung ginawa mong crime, the same punishment will be given to you. So yung lex talionis or yung tinatawag natin an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. So, ibig sabihin, sa Code of Hammurabi, huwag nyo itong kakalimutan. Ito naka-highlights. Punishment was based on the physical retaliation or lex talionis. Or in English, ito yung tinatawag natin an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Wherein, kung ano yung ginawa mo, the same penalty or the same punishment will be given to you. That is under the Code of Hammurabi. Okay. So, under the Mosaic Code of the Israelites, ito naman yung sinasabi nating, in return for their special care and protection, the code is not only the foundation of Judeo-Christian moral teachings, but is also basis for the U.S. legal system. So, this is under also the tradition wherein, ito yung sinasabi nating nakasulat sa Biblia. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, ito yung sinusunod nila before. Kung babalikan natin sa historical background of criminology, ano daw yung mga, kasi wala pa namang batas before. Wala pa naman tayong RA, wala pa naman tayong mga article, wala pa namang batas na gano'n na nag-i-exist before. So, ito yung mga pinaghugutan nila or dito sila nakabase kung kailan nagiging mali yung ginagawa ng tao. Under the Code of Hammurabi, if nakagawa ka ng hindi maganda sa kapwa, the same penalty will be given to you. Under naman sa Mosaic Code, ibig sabihin, listahan po ito ng mga dapat at hindi dapat gawin ng isang tao during the 1200 BC. Okay, so still, we also have the 12 tables. Okay, ito yung tinatawag nating tables are formulated by a special commission of the 10 men in response to pressure from the lower class. The plebeians believed that an unwritten code gave arbitrary and unlimited power to the wealthy classes, the patricians who serve as magistrates. So ito naman between the division between yung mayayaman at mga yung tinatawag nating lower class. Okay? So ibig sabihin, meron din silang guide of what are those bawal na tinatawag natin or hindi nila pwedeng gawin under the 12 tables. This is during the 451 BC or before Christ. Okay, so this one, you have your subject, the theories of crime causation. So, pag-uusapan nyo yung tinatawag nating schools of thought. Sa schools of thought, ano yung tatlong yon? We have the classical school of thought. We also have the neoclassical school of thought. And yung tinatawag nating positivist school of thought. So, again po, meron tayong tatlong schools of criminology, the classical, neoclassical, and the positivist. Okay? So, this one, if you will encounter Cesar Beccaria from first year hanggang fourth year, hanggang mag-board exam, hanggang sa mag-apply. So, ano ba yung contribution ni Cesar Beccaria? Okay? Cesar Beccaria, together with Jeremy Bentham, okay, sila yung nag-propose ng utilitarian hedonism, the theory which explained the person always act in such a way as to seek pleasure and pain. So, pagka narinig niyo po yung konsepto ng pleasure and pain, automatically, this is under the proposal or this is the idea of Cesar Beccaria and Jeremy Bentham. So, pag sinabi nating utilitarian hedonism, papasok agad sa isip niyo yung tinatawag nating pleasure and pain. Sino ang nag-propose? Cesar Beccaria and Jeremy Bentham. Uulitin natin, pag narinig natin ang salitang utilitarian hedonism, it talks about pleasure and pain proposed by Cesar Beccaria. This is part of the classical school of thought. So take note ha, pag sinabing classical school of thought, Cesar Beccaria with Jeremy Bentham also included the utilitarian hedonism which talks about pleasure and pain. Mama, ibig sabihin ng pleasure and pain, tayo kasing mga tao, nandun tayo sa konsepto ng dun tayo sa mas madali. Ayaw natin yung mahirap. E di kung saan yung mas madali at hindi tayo mahihirapan, dun tayo. For example, mas gusto natin na mas mabilis yung pera. So, nagnakaw, ng hablot ng gamit, rather than sa paghirapan natin, pagtrabahuan natin. Okay, so we are more on the pleasure side rather than getting the pain or kaysa sa paghirapan. Okay? Next will be the Cesar Lombroso. Okay, magkaiba si Cesar Lombroso saka si Cesar Beccaria ha. Cesar Lombroso is an Italian leader of the positivist school of criminology. So take note, si Cesar Beccaria kanina ay sa classical. Si Cesar Lombroso naman is sa positivist school of thought. Okay? So, wag kayong mako-confuse. Cesar Lombroso is positivist. Si Cesar Beccaria with Jeremy Bentham ay sa classical school of thought. Was criticized for his methodology and his attention on the biological characteristics of offenders. But his emphasis on the need of study offenders scientifically earned him the father of modern criminology title. So, pag sinabi natin, who is the father of modern criminology? So the answer is Cesar Lombroso, not Cesar Beccaria. Okay? So again, Cesar Lombroso is the founder of Positivist School of Thought, and he is also known as the father of modern criminology. While Cesar Beccaria is the founder or the one who proposed for the utilitarian hedonism, seek and pleasure, or the pain and pleasure, and also what we call the one who proposed for the classical school of thought. So magkaiba po si Lombroso at si Beccaria. His major contribution is the development of scientific approach to the study of criminal behavior and to reform the criminal law. He wrote the essay entitled Crime, Its Causes and Remedies. So, ito naman yung title ng book na ginawa niya. Wherein this is what we call classification of criminals. Okay? So, take note of the contribution or the highlights of what was the um, accomplishments of Cesar Lombroso versus Cesar Beccaria. Okay. So, sino naman si Enrico Ferri? Enrico Ferri he was the best known as Lombroso's associate, parliamentarian, accomplished public lecturer, brilliant lawyer, editor, and scholar. Although he agreed with Lombroso on the biological basis of criminal behavior, his interest in socialism led him to recognize the importance of social, economic, and political determinants. His greatest contribution was his attack on the classical doctrine of free will, which argued that criminals should be held morally responsible for their crimes because they must have made a rational decision to commit the crime. So take note, babanggian na naman natin si Classical. Classical School of Thought was founded or was proposed by Cesar Beccaria. But according to Enrico Ferri, which is one of the associate of Lombroso, ang kinokontra niya dito is the doctrine of the classical school of thought, which is the free will. Na kung saan, sa free will nga naman kasi, since we have our individual free will, pwede natin gawin lahat. But according to Enrico Ferri, he is trying to contradict the classical school of thought na sinasabi niya dito, pag pinractice mo yung human free will mo, you should be held liable whatever the decision you made. Kasi nga, hindi mo naman gagawin yung mga bagay na yan kung hindi mo na pag-isipan. Rational. Ibig sabihin ng rational, pinag-isipan mo. Okay? Nag-isip ka. Parang tayo, diba? Pag sinabi natin na may exam, okay, you have to study. Gagamitan mo ng pag-iisip. Or di ka, if you have to choose between right and wrong, that is your rational decision. Pinag-isipan mo yan. Ibig sabihin, whatever your decision is sa mata ng mga tao, it's either bad or good. The point is, you have used your rational capability. Nag-isip ka. Pinag-isipan mo yan bago ka nagdesisyon. Okay? So, take note of the following persons that we were able to discuss ha. Si Enrico Ferri, Cesar Lombroso, Jeremy Bentham, and Cesar Beccaria. Don't forget also what we have discussed kanina, yung Mosaic Code of Hammurabi, and the 12 tables as part of the history ng ating pag-aaral. Okay, so si Rafael Garofalo naman, okay, hindi na to bago sa inyo because Rafael Garofalo is the one who coined the word criminology, diba? Na kung saan from Latin word, ginawan niya ng translation yung salitang criminology. Okay, so Rafael Garofalo is one of the follower of Lombroso, an Italian nobleman, magistrate, senator, and professor of law like Lombroso, and Ferri, he rejected the doctrine of free will. So, ibig sabihin, isa rin siya sa mga umalma doon sa idea ni Cesar Beccaria. So, he is together with Lombroso and Jeremy Bentham. Okay? So that was the contribution of Rafael Garofalo. So the criminology during the 19th century, this became the rise of the sociological perspective on crimes, criminals, and their behavior. The shift of the blame of the social and environmental circumstances. This also includes the theories which promotes that people's behavior bears some relationship to their biological and psychological constitution. Okay? So, pagdating po dito, this focus on the crime, the criminal, and the behavior of the criminal itself. Okay, so during the 20th century, for the most of the 20th century, criminology's primary connotation has been sociological. However, it has always been deeply influenced by the contributions of persons in several diverse fields. Other political economists, in their study of the history of laws and involving definition of crime in the contemporary society. So bakit po ba habang tumatagal, nagiging factor na yung society, nagiging tatandaan nyo na lagi yung salitang social phenomenon. Criminology or studying criminology is part of the social phenomenon because one of the role or one of the major player in crime, in criminology, in criminal is of course the society. Kaya nga sa social phenomenon because it stays in the society itself. Tayo yung dahilan bakit may batas, tayo yung dahilan bakit may victim, tayo din yung dahilan bakit nag-i-exist yung crime. Because the crime is committed by a criminal and criminal becomes criminal because they committed a crime. So dun lang po yun iikot. Okay? So we are part of that. Kaya nga may batas para suhit, ano ba tawag doon? Matuto din tayong mga tao na we have to respect the human rights. We have to respect other people. We have to preserve also their rights, ano yung mga karapatan nila because everyone is entitled to it. Okay? Okay, so there are a lot of discussions, particularly in the schools of thought, that will be discussed also in the subject of theories in crime causation subject. Okay, so this will be the part 3 of our discussion. So all questions, or if you have questions, again, you take down notes of your questions, and then we will discuss later.